Hello, this is the first in a series of a number of tutorials that will be coming on a new Blackboard tool that will be available for faculty to use starting in fall 2016. This tool is called Blackboard Collaborate. Collaborate is a built-in web conferencing tool similar to WebEx or GoToMeeting or Skype video call. It's a tool that allows you to remain inside Blackboard and still have the opportunity for web conferencing. So there's a number of different things that you could do with it from an instructional point of view. This will allow you to hold tutoring sessions. You can create demos or walkthroughs. You can have a live class session, or your session can be archived. A student or students can also be moderators, not just the teacher. It appeals to different learning styles, and a unique feature is it allows guest speaker access to your Blackboard shell. Similar to some of those features of WebEx or GoToMeeting, you have a chat feature. The participants can raise their hand. You as the instructor can share applications. There's a digital whiteboard piece. There's audio and video muting and showing and hearing. Again, you can archive, which means you can save the session so it can be viewed by others who weren't able to attend at that time, and it can be viewed over and over. You can have guests participate, as I mentioned, and there can be multiple moderators. So first of all, some specifics. It works best in Chrome right now. There is a Firefox beta test going on right now, but if you are the instructor, you are launching the Blackboard Collaborate session, you want to be in Chrome for the greatest operational performance. There are no downloads involved. There's no third-party apps. You do everything and launch everything right from within your Blackboard shell. There's no Java to deal with. And you can also call in on the smartphone to get the audio while you're watching either the video or the screenshots on your computer. And if you are doing a recording or an archival event, the file saved is an MP4 file, which is great because this allows it to be played back on a lot of different devices, computers as well as mobile devices. So let's take a look at it. Now I'm going to be talking about periodically things from either an instructor point of view or a student point of view, just so you can understand the differences. In order to launch this tool, an instructor is going to go into Course Tools to launch this tool. And you will find that as of fall 16, actually, you have a Blackboard Collaborate option that you haven't had previously, and you will launch from there. And this is the screen that you get. Now, before I go forward, a student is going to get to the same place by going into Student Tools, just like we went into Course Tools. And here's the Blackboard Collaborate link. So if you wanted them to join a session, these would be the instructions that you would have to give. They would join the Blackboard Collaborate session, and very similar to what we saw on the other side as instructors, we have the Join Room. So I'm going to go back to the Blackboard Collaborate session, and I'm going to join the room. And it'll take a few seconds in order to bring my particular room up. The first time you launch this window, you will be alerted to checking your video and your audio recording devices in order to make sure that everything is appropriate. I'll pull this window down a little bit so you can see some of the tools that I'm going to present. So if there's an image loaded into your profile, that image will show up in this spot. Otherwise, you just get the silhouette. These are the settings for me as an instructor. This setting of volume on your speakers and your microphones and any webcam settings will be presented to you at the very beginning. I've used this device before, so it does not give me those options. I'm just going to close out of that and just kind of show you the window. This is basically the stage. When I am actually doing a live recording, my screen, or what is being shown on my video monitor, is going to show up in the lower left-hand corner, and you will see when other people join this presentation, this session, they will be showing up in the stage area. The icons down at the bottom are very similar to what you might see if you're in a WebEx situation or any of these web conferencing sites. This is a microphone. It allows me to share my audio. So if I click on that mic, it's going to share my audio. That's something that, depending on the situation, you don't want to have a lot of people talking at the same time, so you may want a lot of people to have their microphone off or muted, unless it is so that you would like them to talk. Share video. And we now have my video on the monitor here, and this is just shooting right through my webcam. And you can decide whether or not, again, you want those on or off, using both the audio, the video, and various types of screen sharings will increase the bandwidth that you need. So if you have a very good bandwidth connection, it's not a problem. Like you can in some of those other tools, you have the raise the hand possibility, and you will be alerted when a participant raises their hand to say that they have a question. It allows you to not necessarily have everybody talking at the same time. If they are muted, raising the hand for a question is a good way to go. So I'm going to get rid of that. There's also a chat bubble. This opens up a chat window here on the right hand side. People can then use this box to type in whatever it is that they would want to say. The chat is going to default to showing to everyone, but you can identify just the moderators, who primarily are going to be the teachers unless you change that otherwise. So I'm going to get rid of the chat feature. There's also a participants list here. Once you have more people who are live in this session, they will show up as names listed below. One of the nice things about this particular feature, I'm going to show you first of all, the circle with the dots in it is essentially the same thing as a circle with dots here. Notice that that shows more tools. So whenever there's other drop-down boxes of choices that I have, this more tools icon will show up. But I do want to point out this one to the side here. This allows me to check the participants' network connection. So in this case, I'm chasing my own, or checking my own. What's going to happen is if you're participating with a number of folks from a distance, you may not know, they might not know exactly how their connection is, how their Wi-Fi connection is. This allows you to check it out and see. In this case, it's as good as it's going to get. I'm getting 4 lines out of 4 lines, but if you notice that one of your students or one of the participants only is getting 2, you could reach out and connect with that person and tell them you might want to get rid of maybe your video and just watch the screen and have the audio component, and that will allow you to do what you need to do. But I wanted to point that out to you. This allows me to, in this case, I'm already the moderator, but if there was another student or another participant listed here, I would have some more choices. One of them would be to make them the moderator if I wanted to do that. So I'm going to get rid of that, back to my screen. So I'm going to very quickly show that the other choices that I have here, one of them is session settings. I can decide to change any of these default settings. Participants can share their audio, they can share their video. I can actually eliminate this, and then my participants essentially are all on mute. So that would be a way to do that. But again, notice that the default is right here. Everybody's profile picture is going to show. If I check this box here, only show profile pictures for the moderator. So that would be me as the instructor and anybody else that I've given the moderator rights to. The default, again, is right there. So the other thing in this More Tools area down at the bottom is Start Recording. And so again, I have the ability to record a session, so I can record just me giving a mini lecture. I could do a walkthrough. I could maybe point out some material that's going to be on the quiz this week. It could be a review, a lot of different uses that I can make of this, and I can start and stop recording and capture just the segment that I want to capture. Okay, we're going to get to that in a moment. Just going to show you some other areas of the screen. All the way over here to the left, there's like a square or a rectangle with a red arrow pointing to the left. and that basically means leave the session. So when I'm all done, I'm all wrapped up with everything that I want to do, that's where I click. So then let's talk about sharing. This little circle with the plus sign allows me to share content. There's 3 basic tools that I can use in the share content area. The first one is sharing the blank whiteboard. I personally don't find that to be very effective because although it gives me kind of like a nice stage and I have some tools here, I don't know if you've ever tried, writing with your mouse. It's kind of a little cumbersome. There's easier ways to do it. Now I also can type. I can hit the text thing and then I can type something, and that might be easier and faster. I have an eraser which I can clear everything. You might find some uses for that, maybe not. There is actually something I'll show you in a minute where the digital whiteboard comes back in, I think is a little bit more valuable. So when I'm all done, I hit stop sharing, and I'm going to go back to one of the other share types. This is probably the one that I use the most, the share application. This allows me to do a share screen. So I'm just going to pull up pull up CNN.com. And so that screen's going to pop up. So what happens here is you can see that I have a choice of a different screen to choose, the CNN website. So if I click on that and do share, then it's going to now share my screen. And so my screen is now shared, so everybody is no longer seeing me. They are actually seeing this particular screen. And I'm going to bring this up. It actually is below my window capture here, but this is a button that pops up for you, or a square that pops up, and when I'm done sharing, I just hit the stop sharing and they're no longer seeing that. They are back to seeing me here on screen. But if I wanted to actually share that site again, to me this might be one of those areas where that digital board would come in. I might be able to, maybe I want to do some drawing on this particular item. So there's some ways to do things with an image, sometimes with a particular site. So I'm going to close out of this site again. Oops, stop sharing. I was supposed to hit stop sharing first. So let me talk about one other thing here in the share the files. I do want to point out that you can also bring some files in. So you have images or PDFs or PowerPoints. You have the ability to share those and bring those in as well. So I'm just going to click on something here and let me find, maybe I'll find, well, let's grab one of these images here and see if that'll load up okay. And it loads the image. I think this is off of the EdTech Guide actually. So then I say share now, and there you go. You get to see whatever that image is. Now notice that they've loaded that image into the digital whiteboard tool. So here's where I think this tool might be there might be some value to using this tool. So now at this particular point, I might identify something that I want to point out. So I'll grab my digital pencil with a color, and I can actually then draw right on that item if I wanted to do that. It's actually not working for me now because I'm in another mode, but this does give you the ability to use these particular tools and bring them on to the board. Okay, so enough of the sharing. Get rid of that. So let me show you the other aspect. I literally have another student, kind of a fake student, which is just me. And so I'm actually going to do something a little bit different here with this particular screen. I'm going to get something set up so I can have my guest student participate. And so I'm going to have my guest student check in. Now, you remember I told you earlier the guest student or the student or a guest speaker, whoever it is that I want to participate in this, is just going to go into Student Tools, and they're going to click on Blackboard Collaborate, and then they're going to join the room. And so that person is going to come into the room. You will see that my participants, once they enter, is going to change till 2. And I can see my list. I can see that Barb student is joining. Barb student has now joined the conference. So if I go over here and turn on Barb student's video, there we go. There's Barb student. Now notice that myself although I'm kind of holding my little yoga puppet here, my Yoda puppet. Down here in the lower left corner, this is me. That's my instructor screen. And what we're doing up here in the top, in this area, in the new stage, is seeing the student screen and whatever it is that they're saying, whatever it is that they're doing. And so now if I go over here to Barb's student and I get the little drop down, I can make Barb's student the moderator. I can make them the presenter. If there's something that I want to record for posterity, I can make them the captioner, or for whatever reason, I could actually remove them from the session, and I can check Barb's bandwidth. Interestingly enough, it's the same as mine, but that is because Barb is sitting approximately 12 to 18 inches away from me with this Yoda character. Okay? So again, I'm going to put Yoda down here for a second, and you'll just be kind of staring at a blank wall behind me. The only other thing I want to do is just show you the start recording and stop recording feature, which essentially would record everything that I am saying or anybody else is doing inside this session. And I want you to notice right up here where it says Week 1 Intro. By the time I go down to the bottom, there's the character again. By the time I go down to the bottom here and hit the start recording, notice that there's this little webcam and session is being recorded that pops up. That'll stay up for about 3 to 5 seconds. It'll go away, but you'll notice that you're still recording if you see this icon. It's a little icon or image of a webcam with the little red dot. That means we are now recording. Also, if you go back down here, this is changed to stop recording. So basically everything that I have on my screen, anything that is being shown on the screen, captured, any texting, chatting, or any raising of the hand, if there are any documents or websites that are brought up to do any of this just part of discussion, any demos that we do, anything that's being said will be captured and archived as we finish things off. So I just wanted to show you that. So once again, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say stop recording. So the recording has stopped. Now I can go ahead and I can leave the session at this point. I can close out of everything. I'm done. I'm going to leave the session. Currently right now, Blackboard is looking for feedback on how well the session went. So whether or not I did a live one or I did an archive record from the get-go where I don't have any other students or any other participants, I'll go ahead and rate this. Now if you say very good or excellent and hit submit, you can move on. If you say poor, fair, or good, you'll get a dialog box where you can add some feedback as to what exactly worked or didn't work for you. Blackboard is trying to capture that data. Or you can hit skip and move forward. I'm always personally marking just because I want them to get the feedback. And even if I have a great session, I don't say excellent. I'm always going to say very good because I want them to continue to try to improve it. So I hit submit and it says thank you and so forth. So I'm going to go back to my Blackboard class. One of the things that I want to tell you is when you're done recording, if you're like me, one of the things I always like to do is do a little quality check. I like to go back and play it back. How did my voice sound? Did I capture what I wanted to capture? And oftentimes I'll go, darn it, that isn't what I wanted to do. I'm going to redo it. Well, one of the things that's a little bit of a problem using Blackboard Collaborate is currently right now, it takes 1 hour for this exact video that I just shot to be available. So that means if I know that I screwed it up, it didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen, I knew I tripped over my tongue, there was some things that I didn't say correctly, or there was some examples or pages that I didn't show correctly, I would just right away do a second recording and then just use the second recording. Now once you have this recording done, it's going to show up in your list of recordings here under Blackboard Collaborate, which is where we went to, right? So go back and go somewhere else for a second. Right, so I'm just in my discussion board area. So again, I go to Course Tools, go to Blackboard Collaborate. That's where I joined my classroom in a Collaborate session. But I have a list of some things that I've already done here. Notice the date range. So if I'm looking for something prior to 6/21, if I change it to, let's say, 5/21, you'll see a larger list of things. The other thing to point out is once you make a recording, whatever it is calling your class, so if you have ABC 101, UG, F to F, 92.123C001. That's what it's going to say every time. Mine is actually called Instructional Technology, so it says Instructional Technology Room every time I make a recording. Well, there's no way that I know what any of these things are, but I have the ability to go in and I can edit a recording. So let's go into one that I did here. Let's say edit recording. And this gives me the ability to change the name. And so maybe I give it the name of the class. Week 1 intro or something like that. Another thing that's kind of nice is, let's say this was a recording that I made that I wanted in more than one class. I can actually click on the other classes that I'm teaching, find that class, place it where I need to place it, and then hit submit, and it's now placed it in another class. But understand that right now it's not into a position of where anybody else in my class can see it. What you have to do is release it. In order to release it, I have to determine where I want to go. I might want to put this as a discussion board thread. I could put it in my seminars, weeks, module folder. I could place it as an announcement. Basically, I want to put it anywhere that I'm going to get a dialog box, which allows me to have the toolbars that I need. So for right now, I'm just going to create a thread. And you will see that there's a new button in your third line of the toolbar that was not there before, and it's not there unless you have Blackboard Collaborate configured for your course. And if I click on the drop-down menu of mashups, you will see that there's one mashup option that I have, and it's called Collaborate. When I click on that, it opens up my Blackboard Collaborate screen and gives me access to all the recordings that I have in this particular class. So if this is the one I want, training demo, I just click in the box and I hit submit, and there it is. It shows up, it's just the link. Now usually the first time I put one of these links in class, I put please click on the link above, because sometimes the audience doesn't know what to do there. I tell you, once I do this in the first week, I never have to put this sentence in again because everybody knows what it is and what they're supposed to do. And I hit submit, and now it's ready to rock and roll. They just hit this, and it generally takes maybe 10 to 20 seconds before it is squared away and ready to go. Now it's ready to play. The person just has to click here, and they will now be able to replay that video. So again, this is what you do if you've recorded or archived a presentation, a Collaborate session, and you want to release it. If you're doing it live and you don't record it, there's no evidence of it happening, and you can't call it back once you've had the live session. So those are some of the basics for how to get started with Blackboard Collaborate. Hoping that a bunch of people are finding great ways to use this, always looking for feedback on what's working and what's not working, and great ideas that you might have in order to use this particular tool. We will be putting out more tutorials related to Blackboard Collaborate and some of those other uses going forward. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.